welcome to Mrs. Best Reviews channel. Oh, let's welcome in for a happy way to start. James from the Watch Your Mouth Reviews channel.
Hey, hey.
God help us. The link to James's channel, y'all, description of this video. There's always a link to his channel. Please click it, subscribe. He recaps, especially those who watch OWN. He recaps a lot of shows on the OWN network. So please subscribe, support all of those good things.
You guys, and we will be doing Somebody's Son today. So you guys don't want to miss that. So we're going to definitely go in. And so, but this show right here, y'all stay tuned because I got a lot to say.
They let me tell you, Never Ever Met's really irritated me this season. And shout out to Shayna as well. Please subscribe to her channel. I normally would have done like an end of season discussion. I still may do one, but it's been hard. James is moving in school, relationships, all sorts of stuff. I'm just, it's just a lot going on, y'all. We're doing the best we can. But if I can get that live up, I will try. But her channel is in the description as well. So please subscribe to Shayna's channel also. I want to know why this lady had to host this reunion. She is not.
I told you, Egypt costs too much.
She isn't. Taronda, from the questionable outfits, the unbecoming hairstyles, the lack of an ability to lead, which is what a host is, for those who don't know. There's some type of a leader. You have to be able to hold people accountable. You have to be able to ask them questions, all while maintaining fairness and not just piling on people. I don't feel like Taronda should have hosted this. I don't dislike her, but I just feel like Never Ever Met's is not the type of a show that a host is needed. We could do this show with therapists and them living in different houses, kind of like Married at First Sight, as James always says. We do not need a host. It feels disingenuous, and it goes to the people who are on the show's heads. That's just my opinion. Now we start this halfway reunion titled the Ever After, even though there wasn't one ever after, with Alicia and Irvin. Now, at the beginning, Alicia and Irvin, we read her for filth for a smooth 5-6 episodes. We read her for filth, and we couldn't help it. I think that she is crazy. I think that something is wrong with her, and she proved it at this reunion. She, who tried to act like she just is so much better than just how other Black people may be. She who puts herself on a pedestal, came in with I went to the beauty supply Eastmont Mall in East Oakland, California, and got the short auntie weave in my head. The girl couldn't find a bra to fit her right for this reunion. She looked a mess, in my opinion. She was a lot. But she pretty much tried to gaslight and manipulate Irvin again. He explained that it was difficult. She was in denial. She's crazy as hell. I didn't expect Alicia to come on TV and admit that she was wrong or to admit fault. The one thing she did admit after the host had to say something to her was that she should not have stated that Irvin made her feel unsafe, but then still expected for him to feel comfortable being lovey-dovey and physical. So she admitted that that was wrong, but the fact that she doubled down, she only did that because she was pushed in a corner in front of a crowd. I don't think she would have admitted that if they would have been in like a regular setting, like how they were in the house. But the updates for this couple, Irvin is still with the ex that he got back with, and Alicia's alone because ain't nobody in their right mind gonna do more than just fuck that bitch. She's crazy as hell. I said it. James, how'd you feel about their little segment?
I felt like I didn't need any closure for them. I think it was very self-explanatory. I didn't need neither one of them to explain. I thought that she was very annoying because you knew what you were doing. And I would rather come up there and say, you know what? In this moment, I just didn't think he was my type. I didn't think after seeing him in person, it just wasn't really what it was. And instead of me arguing with him and trying to gaslight him, I should have just packed my stuff and left. I think she said that. I don't remember. But yeah, she should have just did that because then I would have more respect for her to take accountability for what she did and then say I should have removed myself because I knew it wasn't going to work.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Did anybody else comment if you felt the same? I felt like this reunion felt rushed. I feel like they put it together because They got really good views. I heard that this show got some views comparable to other shows on OWN that have done well. So it's good that OWN is getting shows outside of Love and Marriage that are getting decent views, because Love and Marriage has been dead for some time. Sorry, y'all. Sorry, not sorry. But I felt like it was rushed. With Alicia and Irvin and Kiki and Brandon, as well as, no, I'll say this, those two. I feel like people should have dug into that more, and we could have done that if the reunion was not rushed, or if it was at the very least 2 parts. I'll also say for Alexis and Chris, they needed to dig into that more. We'll get to that, but it just all felt right.
I agree. I actually wouldn't have minded a 2-part reunion for this, for only just because I felt like they did skate around a lot of the issues and focused more on the what we did not see versus what we did see, which is the issues we needed to be talking about. I feel like there was a lot unsaid that they could have. They just, I don't know if OWN was just being cheap and felt like this was satisfactory. It's crazy I would do that on this show, but Love and Marriage Huntsville and Love and Marriage Detroit got to have 2 and 3-part reunions on shit that don't even matter.
That's the truth. That is actually a good point, because Love and Marriage Huntsville, Love and Marriage in general, they begin all the fucking reunions, and they don't talk about nothing they avoided, or they talk about too much in a reunion and we are like, well, why didn't we get any of this during the season? So hopefully they figure it out. The next couple we're going to discuss is Tatiana and Clay. This was another rush segment. They didn't discuss much. I felt like the host should have started specifically with Clay. And what should have been established is they should have talked about how Clay and Tatiana talked about their relationship in meeting prior to being in the house. They should have talked about what was going on between those two when Clay laid down with somebody else and made a baby, because he did that while he was with her. They should have questioned him further on his decision to not say anything. I felt like the best friend should have been discussed more, especially being how she acted and seeing if this best friend has any regret. Like, they just glazed over most of what went on with these people's storyline. And as quiet as it's kept, everybody else went home so fast. They stayed for the longest, so I would have expected them to leave it, like, stretch it out, but they didn't. Instead, they discussed the hug with the friend, but they didn't discuss it in detail. In my opinion, y'all, the hug with the friend was inappropriate, but it was also blown out of proportion. Looking back, when they show everything to couples, they're making it seem like she, like, basically was touching him, like he put a hand on the thigh and all of that. She did hug him. It was for a very long time. It wasn't the most appropriate, especially with how she, like, blew off Tati. But the group did sell it as something more dramatic. Let this be a lesson to people single. Like, don't always listen to outside ears when it comes to your relationship. You have to be able to tune out other people's opinions and focus on what you need to focus on to get to the bottom of it. But it wasn't appropriate for that girl to be hugging her like that, but it was also blown out of proportion. But the update is Tati and Clay are not together no more. Tati says she has a roster of men that she's currently dating, which I believe. She's a beautiful girl. Clay claims that he has a girlfriend, but Tati had to coax him into saying that he has an actual girlfriend, because I guess prior to them filming this reunion, they saw each other and he wasn't trying to act like he had a girlfriend. So it sounds like Clay is still trying to creep on the come up when it comes to the women. I'm not surprised, but I'm looking and I'm just like, Clay is just a big dummy. James, how'd you feel about their segment? Okay, y'all, he might have stepped away. We're going to move forward to the next couple, which is Brittany and Ty. So Brittany and Ty are really, really annoying. This couple to me never had any type of chemistry, nothing between them. It seemed like Brittany had a wall up and was just looking for a father for her child. And it seemed like Ty had other reasons to want to be on TV. I don't feel like he was all that interested. But they both have different versions of what happened, which I'm not surprised. I know there's 3 sides to every story. Each person involves version and the truth. But they had not just different versions of what happened between them, but they also had different ideas of what the other wanted from each other. So there was just a total disconnect between Brittany and Ty, and I don't think they ever had a shot. They also don't get along. I don't think, like, in terms of friend groups or kicking into public situations, I don't feel like Brittany and Ty would be the type to end up talking to each other, end up dating each other. It makes me wonder, like, are y'all both full of shit? Because there's zero chemistry. There was nothing there. Go back to episode 1. There was nothing fucking there. There wasn't excitement on her part. She was more concerned, let me just make sure he doesn't touch me. And he did try in the beginning to be affectionate and things like that, but at the same time, he did ignore a lot of what she asked, and he was more concerned about other people versus her. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, there's so much of a disconnect, I don't buy it. And it made no sense. First, Brittany says there was a lack of attention and affection, but then on the reunion, she exposes that he was kissing on her too much. But then there was this weird, like, interaction between the two of them on the stage where he's like, oh, when I was smacking your ass and kissing you, grabbing you up, you like that shit. And I'm like, she probably did like that shit. She probably did like that shit. Let's keep it a buck. Who's not gonna like that from their spouse? I be in the kitchen cooking sometimes. My husband smack the hell out of the ass, want some affection out of nowhere. I like that. It keeps things interesting. So Brittany, don't act like you don't like that. Why did you act like you don't like it if you did? Why didn't we see any of that on camera on producers? So Brittany and Jay step in and talk, and Jay says that Brittany says that Jay was rude, and that was a part of the problem in their relationship. And she says when she first met Jay, that Jay walked past all the women in the house, didn't acknowledge them when they were trying to speak to her. And then Jay steps in and is like, well, you were too touchy with Cinco. And during their exchange, Charlie, who needs to change whatever she did to her hair back to how it used to be. She looked like a wet dog. I'm sorry. She got to figure it out. I didn't understand why she dyed her hair that color. But Charlie chimed in, and Charlie was basically like, no, this is true. Brittany is not lying. Cinco had to come and apologize for your behavior because you were rude and did not speak. So why the fuck are we talking about this if we're supposed to be talking about Brittany and Ty's relationship? 1. 2, who the fuck cares if she didn't say hi to you or speak to you like that? You there for your nigga, not to make friends. Who cares? 3, I don't want to talk about these people no more. I just don't. They're not likable. They're both fake. And that's where I leave it there. They didn't have a connection. I wish that they would move on. James?
I agree. They didn't have a connection. They did not. I feel like this was a situation where she was probably intending it to always be an online relationship. She had no intentions on ever meeting him, no intentions on ever talking or having a connection. She just strictly wanted this to be online because, to be honest, women like her don't want to put effort into a relationship. They want the man to do it all. That's what you got necessarily. But I think the bigger issue is she's not physically attracted to him. And I think that's the problem. And instead of her being honest about that, instead of her flaunting and flirting with other men as they're alleging that she's doing, even though the camera showed it, I feel like she needed to be honest about that and just say, I don't have a physical attraction to you. And I think that's what's stopping me from wanting to proceed anything more physical with you because I don't physically feel it myself. I think that's where her problem is. And
he's trying to say that it's impossible for her to have not had a physical attraction because she likes the affection. But a woman can still like being touched on and kissed on by somebody that she's not attracted to. It's the action.
It's the action behind it. Yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I just think, to me, she just did not appeal to him. Like, she didn't have any appeal. And sometimes that can be a drawback. That could be something that does push you away from someone because you really feel like, damn, I'm seeing you in person. I've had plenty of those dates where someone looked way more attractive on video and in picture. And then when I really got to see them in person, filters are a motherfucker. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you definitely misrepresented yourself because this is not what you look like. So I think that that's what it is. I do.
I agree. I'm glad we both on the same space. People need to just be honest in what they like and don't like. It is okay to have. There is a such thing as being too picky, but I think that it's important for people to know that it is okay to be picky. Because if you're dating to get to the point of marriage, or if you don't believe in marriage and are just dating to have a life partner, someone you're with your entire life, you have to be with that person your entire life. So you do want to make sure that there are things about them that matter to you that they can, check off of your list. But at the same time, being too picky is unrealistic. But I think the basis of all of that is physical attraction. If I'm not physically attracted to someone, it would be very hard for me to have a successful relationship with them. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would just be difficult. So Brittany and Ty need to be more honest with themselves and other people. But Jay tried to call Brittany old. Brittany's 38. Ty's 38. I think Jay is like 30. Like, are we really calling people that older than us? What?
Ma'am, you ain't that far behind. So I don't understand what you were trying to accomplish in this moment by saying
Jay
that.
needs to stop calling and talking about anybody's looks when she looks like one of the characters from the Land Before Time animation. She needs to stop.
Nope.
Be nice to people. Because to attack somebody's looks just because you didn't get along with them, that's foul. I don't like people like that. If I got a problem with somebody, I'll read you for filth without saying a word about your look. How many can do that? Everybody goes to your shoes don't look nice. That's why your hair ain't combed. It's like, okay, it's a lot that could be said to you also. Maybe you look old too, in a prehistorical dinosaur type of way. I don't know. But moving on, y'all. I feel like Jay's one of those girls who's just, there's a difference between having confidence and being cocky. I also think there's a lot of cracks in the foundation of Cinco and Jay's relationship, which is why she's that way. And I wish the other women would see that and just let Jay do what Jay does. Like, bitches like that, you just let them move how they move. Oh, okay, that's how you feel? That's how you feel? I'm going to be thinking the Littlefoot every time I look at you. Just say that in your head and ignore her. Just let her feel how she feels. Moving on, the group plays a game on the reunion stage, which makes sense because throughout this season at the dinner table, everybody played a game. And it seems like much of the games was how like a lot of the drama started. So they asked who the peacemaker of the group was, and everybody pretty much voted for Cinco, which I can agree. Cinco seemed like he not about drama in general. Publicly, I feel like when his relationships, Cinco is very difficult. And I'm going to get to that later.
Honestly, I disagree. I think he attracts difficult people, i.e. Jay. So I think that, yes, you are what you attract, but I don't think it's in perspective of that. I think that he naturally likes drama so he can be the fixer.
That's probably something that makes sense also. I'll explain more of my perspective when we get to that couple, but I definitely do see him being a peacemaker in friend groups, but I feel like in his relationships, he's less of a peacemaker. But I'm not saying he's disrupting the peace either, if that makes sense. But we're going to discuss it when we talk about their little weird segment, which was weird. They ask the question of who was hitting on someone's partner after leaving the house and the cameras wrapped filming. And Brandon, his name comes up because apparently Brandon and Charlie have been talking. Which, Brandon, thank you so much for changing your hair. The hair that he had while filming the show reminded me of one of the Temptations in that movie with Leon. It really just stressed me out. It did. Brandon looks good at this reunion.
Good Burger, but okay.
Good Burger too. Hell, definitely Good Burger too. We'll take Good Burger. But yeah, Brandon, I'm not surprised that he likes Charlie. I feel like wherever Brandon lives, because he says he's somewhere in Alabama, And just knowing some people, I have friends that have family in Alabama. I have a friend that goes to Alabama often because her man lived there. And the slim pickings is what I'm going to say. People drive in counties to see boyfriends and girlfriends, sometimes state to state. I feel like Kiki was like just who he could talk to at that time, because to go from Kiki to Charlie to me is like random, and not because of size.
No, because we
like
know
most
Kiki
people
was
would think,
fetish.
like personality wise.
Yeah. I think Charlie brings comfort in a really odd way. And I think Kiki was just the fetish. I just think that Kiki was a fetish because he probably somebody that probably just like titties. So it probably likes to probably likes to get motorboated. He gives me that for some reason. I don't know why, but I'm just like, yeah, it's very strange how you go from Kiki to Charlie.
Right.
It's very strange because those are two totally opposite segments if we're trying to base you having a type. So that's why I'm like, yeah, no, there is something else with him. I think Kiki was the fetish, and I think he got called out for that fetish. I do. I think he listened to social media. I think he listened to people calling that out. And so he went with a logical choice, which was the insecure broad on the show.
Yeah, honestly, no shade. If I was dating women, no shade. Charlie wouldn't be hard to pull. I can't, no shade to Charlie. She really got to step her game up. I can see why she got 4 kids, is what I'm saying. I could see that she got 4 kids. So the other couple that comes up as someone who's hitting on a partner after leaving the house was Clay. Clayvasia is salty because he think that Chris been talking to Tatiana. So I'm like, okay, we gonna come back to this some more at the end because it continues to go on. But this is the first time I looked at Christian and was like, maybe he's not in the closet and just didn't like Alexis when he saw
I think,
her.
and I said that I don't see. As I said, I got a bigger vibe from Jared than I did Chris. So I just think Alexis was representation of his mother. I really do.
I think he recognized that halfway through the season.
Yes.
And it probably freaked him out. And I think that's why he stayed different, because the way, first of all, Chris looked good at the reunion.
He did. He looked very nice.
And secondly, the way he was smiling and looking and handling himself with the men, I said, oh no, this nigga's smooth. He knows what he's doing. He didn't like that older lady, which is okay. He connected the trauma to his decision making.
Yep.
And according to psychology, for what I learned in school, once a person can connect their trauma, their decision making, and behaviors all in one, they're usually able to correct it.
Yep.
So I'm looking at it like, and yes, it could literally be overnight. That's what we call a breakthrough, people.
Because the thing about it is that it's probably not his first time doing this.
Yep.
And when you look at it from the perspective, you now can see yourself. I remember I had a therapist years ago that would record me. Like, I signed a consent form. It wasn't that she was going to share with anybody. She literally would record me and then email me the reel to make me watch it. And sometimes I forgot the camera was even there. So when I was watching it back, I saw where I needed to make changes in my life. I actually wish that therapist retired. I actually wish I can go back to her because it was brilliant. So I think that's what he did in this moment, because they sent this to them before it aired. And I think he was able to see it, recognize it, and then show up differently. Because something tells me Alexis is not his first rodeo with having an older woman like that.
Oh, no, she's definitely not. He had said that when we met them in the first episode, that he has dated older women before. So I wouldn't be surprised at all. You're probably right with that. Probably spot on. We have to discuss Cinco and Jay. Why are they on the show? Like, I'm all for a happy story. I think of Love is Blind, season 1, Cameron and Lauren, who are now expecting a baby. Yay. But I think of that couple. I think they're a good example of a happily ever after on television. Cinco and Jay doesn't feel authentic to me. Something about it feels off. When they discuss them, they pretty much explain that they're still together. He's playing basketball overseas, which tells me he's paid well. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yes.
But I feel like Jay has figured out he's paid well, and I feel like a piece of that will keep her a little more compliant than she would normally be. But I did peep when they were asking questions because he did end up having to leave early to catch a flight to a game. But I do kind of feel like, it's very strange that these two claim that everything is good, but before he leaves for his flight, when asked about the move and stuff, he kind of had an attitude and was like, "We figuring it out. You know, I might come out there to Chicago if things keep going this way. I might stay with her if things keep going well." But he seemed annoyed given the answer. I don't think these two have figured out who's going to move somewhere for who. I also don't think that these two have a healthy relationship. I can't quite put my finger on what may be the dysfunction or what could be causing it to be unhealthy, but I can say that I do feel like people who are so inept to present a perfect picture to the world are often so focused on presenting a perfect picture that they're not actually looking into what goes into painting and creating the picture, and that could be bad. And they both seem controlling and stubborn. So I
Here's
don't
the
trust.
thing. Let me paint a different picture for you for them too, because I saw exactly what this is. Their relationship is strictly physical and nothing else.
Probably.
And they're betting on that to bring everything else around. That's why their answers, when everyone is asking them questions on their prospective relationships, the answers, well, we gonna see, or we'll see what happens, or we'll see what happens, is because intellectually they have not connected. So it's hard to have the tough conversations of who moves where, when are we getting married, is marriage on the table, how is he, like, all of the questions that they were asking were all logical questions. And the fact that they couldn't answer not one, but are still together, lets me know the relationship is strictly physical. And what I mean by physical, y'all, I'm not saying abusive, I'm saying it's only sexual. That's all that they've been able to figure out. Because let me tell you something.
I mean, that's how they started it.
It is how they started it, and it's how they probably continued it. But the thing about it is that when the sex is great and you can connect physically, a lot of times that keeps you enthralled longer with someone. And you tend not to think about the long-term effects. So when people ask you, okay, well, do you see yourself getting married? Well, of course, it's on the table. It's because they have not been able to move past that. Just like she said, after the show, after they stopped filming, he came the next week later. I guarantee you it was to give her some because she requested it. And that's what it is. And he's been there.
Something of that nature, because they do give the vibes of, like, especially how they acted like they didn't need any of the activities on the show. They gave the vibes of they had their conversations, but as soon as sex became a part of the relationship, they stopped having conversations. And you have to keep talking to your partner. There is always something to learn about your partner because humans are always growing, evolving, and changing.
Which is why I'm not opposed to people waiting until, I wouldn't say waiting until marriage, but waiting until the relationship gets more serious.
Yeah.
Because the problem is with sex is that it can cloud judgment.
That's true.
And I have to be real with y'all. I'm somebody, I will wait a long time for it until I can fully know someone. And that's why I think my last boyfriend got really frustrated with me. Because the problem is that I was seeing shit that I did not like. And when I don't like something, I will not fall for you. And when the circumstances are a little bit twisted, because mind you, I'm in Florida by myself. I don't have any family there. I don't have very many friends there that I can trust, that I can stay with in case the shit goes left. So it was kind of like, okay, I am moving along to get along and kind of doing it. And that is wrong. It is. But at the same time, I was asked to come there under other pretenses that were not filled. So I have to move accordingly. People need to start having that mindset, because when sex clouds your judgment, you tend not to see things, or you'll see them but turn a blind eye to it, kind of what Charlie did.
Yeah.
So that's where you kind of have to realistically, like, relationship, even though it's not supposed to be a game, it is a game. And your game is to win an end goal and a bonus.
Yeah, a lot of therapists, well, marriage and family therapists will use the analogy of a game and relationship because essentially the goal is to get something out of it. There is an end goal. It's
There
just
is
in a
an
game,
ego.
your end goal could be a prize or a piece of candy or a sticker. In a relationship, the end
Or it
goal
could be
is
the real
a
thing where you want the
partnership.
full package. Like it could be that too. But at the same time, we have to understand we're humans. When we decide to get in relationships, our goal is to give it the college effort to make it work. Once we stop doing that, then that's when we lose.
I'm annoyed with these two though, either way.
Me
I
too.
wish them well. I do hope that it works out, but
Some tell me it won't.
it's
Because to
yeah,
me,
I
I
mean he's
feel like they'll never get past
internationally,
physical.
he's overseas talking to her. And she seems like the type that will get jealous to a certain extent, especially with how she kept bringing up Brittany touching and flirting and stuff with Cinco. So I feel like if they, I don't know that they'll work. We'll see. I would love for Own to do something where, like, for instance, 90 Day Fiance, Married at First Sight. Like, I wish that we could get like an update. You know how sometimes they do update episodes. I wish that we could get that with the couples that have succeeded or so-called succeeded. What's good? CBS TV Media, welcome in. That is correct. The end goal is supposed to be love and companionship, but is money, money, booty, clout, everything but love. Yeah.
Go to my channel and we're gonna talk about that for somebody's son.
Yeah, somebody's son going to be interesting. Welcome to the channel, by the way. Love to see people commenting. Everybody's welcome to comment, even if your feelings are different from ours. But this is the point. I'm so glad that someone has like typed it out. It gives me hope in the world. And the end goal really is supposed to be love and companionship. But yeah, with Cinco and Jay, you do get the money and the clout and all of that.
Yes.
Nah,
Yes.
girl, ain't nobody that happy when they man overseas constantly.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Ain't nobody happy with they man overseas constantly. No problem, no problem. We love it. Y'all all our little thugging cousins. Y'all just don't know. But they irritate me. We're gonna move on to discuss Alexis and Chris. Um, Alexis, mama, shout out to your hairstylist, sis. You finally got it right.
I mean,
I'm
I
trying to
was
tell
shocked.
you.
I didn't even realize that was her.
She
She
looked
even
so
sound different.
good.
She
She
even
looked
sound
so
different.
good.
Like, yes, she did that.
She looked good. But Alexis and Chris irritate me. I was here thinking, y'all watch all of my recaps. I was here thinking every episode, like, is Chris in the closet? Is he hiding something? But then I started to lean away from that and feel like, okay, well, maybe he's a victim of SA because men handle it differently and reflect it
Which I
differently.
don't feel like that's still off the table. Just so we're clear, I feel like I don't think that that's off the table. I feel like
don't either, especially with how many step parents he had.
No, it's what he said. It's what he said about the sexual contact and everything, and that he's not really into it.
That's the part that weirded me out, that made me feel that way as well.
Because it was a contradiction.
That was the first thing Chris.
That's why I was like, which one is it?
That was the first thing that Chris said when speaking about him and Alexis, their intimacy. That's the first thing they asked about. I felt like there was so much more with this couple in their segment that they could have asked about. They should have addressed her feeling like she's aggressive and him constantly accusing her of being aggressive for an entire season, him accusing her of being messy. There's so much they should have dug into, but they focused on only the intimacy, which was weird. And Chris says that sex has never been a thing for him. And he says he doesn't like feeling like a piece of meat. Now, in my head, when he was saying that on the show, I was like, huh? Because I'm sorry, the way he looked on the show, the way he carried himself, he was so miserable, I couldn't see it. He looked good at the reunion, but I'm like, okay, bro, how cocky are you? A piece of meat? For you to feel like a piece of meat means that you have felt at some point victimized or like a piece of meat by somebody. Which, you know, if that's happened, it's happened to me as well. It's not something to be ashamed of, nor is it something that is your fault. And that will take years to learn how to navigate, because you never get over it. You never forget. You just learn how to navigate through life while still having that trauma. But it was odd. Now, according to Alexis, the couple never became intimate. But according to Chris and other cast members on the show,
especially Jared
and Kiki, Chris and Alexis have been intimate. And Alexis was like, yeah, but it wasn't that type of sex. Girl, did the penis go into your
Okay,
vaginal hole?
penetrated is the question. Like, we ain't got time for you to go through all this rigmarole. What happened? It obviously wasn't good because you don't want to deny that it happened, but everyone else is saying it happened. So what was it? Was it not good? Is that what you were trying to
Was
say?
it just oral? Like, what is going on?
Yeah,
what's really going on?
I would expect him to get it right the first couple go arounds. Anyway, y'all put too much. Let me explain something to y'all. Y'all put too much pressure on people to be perfect when having sex. Y'all put way too much pressure on that. Nobody, if you get it right the first time, excellent, perfect, it's fine. If you do not get it right, there is no pressure there because everybody's body is different. Everybody's hormones respond differently. So
the other thing too, I can't say I've been with my partner since 2009 and we've been married since 2012. I could tell you this: the sex that we having today is not the sex that we was having in 2009.
I'm sure it's not because things
it is
have
not.
changed.
It was a mess back then. We didn't know what we was doing. Part of it is being young, but it was a mess. But as you grow to learn your partner, because I'm gonna just keep it real. Before me, my husband was a hoe. His girlfriends, his exes was confused. Okay. And when you get to know your partner and you learn their body and the things that they like, if it's healthy, you start to incorporate that in that, and sex begins to change, or you try different things. Sex begins to change in some way. So it's not, you're not always going to know the right thing to do with someone, especially if it's your first time doing it with them and you haven't learned their body. So I feel like that's the case with Alexis and Chris, but I also feel like a piece of me feels like he might have been like embarrassed to like show too much with her or act like he wanted her too much. Like they're weird. They're very weird.
But I just feel like, to me, her response was giving me that she was disappointed in what the sex was. Yeah. And that's why she wanted to deny that it happened. And I don't feel like that's a fair thing. If you knew it happened, Chris knew it happened, and two other people in the house saw it happen, I feel like that's not right for you to deny that it happened. Just say it just wasn't my cup of tea, unfortunately, and maybe we should have had a couple more rounds, or maybe I need to show him or tell him what I really like in bed. And I think people need to start having these conversations. I think some men do make it difficult to have these conversations because their ego gets shot when they don't do it right the first time. I totally get it, ladies. I'm not saying that that's not a thing. It is absolutely a thing. But the right kind of man is going to take the feedback well if he knows that you're coming from a genuine place. So don't be afraid to do it. If he gets mad or gets upset or tell you your stuff is something else, then he's not the one for you, and you can move on and dodge that bullet now.
That's the truth. That's the truth. Because Alexis did say she ended up feeling like everything she did was a trigger for Chris, and she had to look at herself and reflect. And I was glad. I think on the show, we could see that Alexis was, I think she's been called aggressive before. And I could see him saying that trigger her actually when she was on the show. And so she started to be more submissive. But you can submit while still having an aggressive personality as a woman. Two things are possible. I don't think
her personality and her being aggressive is a bad thing. I just don't. I think there's a type of man that's able to handle that better than Chris. I think that Chris does not need that based on his childhood trauma. I don't think that that's what he needs. And I think that that's where we miss the mark on these two as a couple, is that what she gives is not something he needs as a nurture. Maybe correction, maybe, but not as a nurture. If that's what he's really seeking for as a woman, to nurture and to, you know, cherish and actually be in a healthy relationship. I think she needs someone who's just as rough as she is.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth. Like, opposites attract, but it's also important to have similarities between people when they date, regardless if you're a same-sex couple or any other type of couple. It don't matter. You have to have similarities, but you know, they're not together. I'm not surprised. I was annoyed that they even acted like they was gonna go home together, but I'm not surprised that they're not together. Clay then randomly brings up Chris, saying that he would be with Tatiana if he could, because you know, you could tell Alexis is done with Chris. It doesn't seem like she has hard feelings, but she was like, yeah, now you can talk to her. It was almost like she's like, okay, you can do this. I'm not gonna be mad if you talk to her, because he's younger anyway. But Brad, you know, Chris, not Chris, Lord, what the hell is the boy's name?
Lavasia.
Lavasia, his dumbass. He didn't like that. Alexa said, y'all can talk if you want to. And he's like, well, why? And I'm looking and I'm like, okay, Chris, you've been around the block before. He said, does that bother you? You got something you need to let off your chest? She's a beautiful woman, but when he called Tati beautiful, the way she blushed and smiled, the way she was like,
I said, oh no. I said, no. I misjudged her completely. That right there made me feel like, oh no, ma'am.
Like, I'm not surprised because beautiful girl, but anybody who's dated in California, especially Southern California, you got to understand this woman has been through it when it comes to dating. I don't care who she is, where she's from. If you have lived in California and had the date, I'm sorry. Okay? It is hard out here. It is.
Because you don't know how people moving these days. You don't know what they're doing. So
I'm not surprised that she would like be willing to talk to him or any of that or be so easily wooed. I think there's a piece of Chris that we don't see on the camera. I do think he has the ability to commit in a way that she would like. But I also feel like a piece of her may also want to just piss off Clay because she seems like the type to not let go of something. But I'm here for it. I wish them the best.
I am too. I agree with that. I think there is a piece of her that does want to piss off Clay because of how he made her look this season, even though she did a lot of that to herself. But I do feel like it is get back. It does feel like that. And I think Clay knew it, but the problem is, sir, you would be hypocritical, one, if you were to feed into that. And two, I feel like you pressing this man about him getting someone. First of all, y'all are not friends. Y'all met on this show. I could see if y'all was boys from the hood that grew up together playing basketball on 79th and Crenshaw and everything. I could see if it was that kind of situation, then feel away. Absolutely. But y'all just met. I don't think y'all have any communication with. I think the only people he communicate with is probably Ty and Jared. If I'm really giving him speculation on who he's still friends with. I didn't see y'all being friends on the show, so you shouldn't feel away at all.
Yep.
Especially how you entered this room. No, you didn't need to feel away at all. Let them have it and wish them the best.
Yeah, it's always somebody fucking up that want to feel away about something.
You want to feel away about some shit.
And it's like, in the words of my husband, when he was watching this, I was cracking up. My husband was yelling at the TV to Clavasia. He said, nigga, you fumbled. I said, he did though. Don't go crying.
It was like,
you had the girl.
You try to then make some stipulations now after you'd have messed the shit up.
Right.
Yeah.
All you had to do, he probably still could have kept that girl too. If I'm telling you, all he had to do was check his best friend and send her away. And Tati seemed like the type of bitch that probably would have still forgave him. Shouldn't have. But he could have had her. In the words of Mr. Best, he fumbled. He really did. Clay is just dumb. He's dumb. And allegedly, he does reality TV shows. He has girlfriends all over the place that don't know about each other. And I'm looking at him like, who is dating Smokey the Bear?
Oh, how? Okay. Really not like at all. So, I mean, you know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. There's some women that will throw it at him. You know, I mean, hey. It is.
I don't know. He just don't seem that smart to like be a smooth talker, or women need to up their standards.
He just seems sloppy. It just seems like it's very sloppy. It's like conversations with him are immature. You know, just I don't see the appeal. Just be personally.
Child, nobody does. But we moved to discuss Brandon and Kiki, and this is where I said this segment. I don't want Taronda hosting it. If you're going to do a reunion, do it with care. This should have been the longest segment, in my opinion. And I know some people will be like, what? Not Charlie and Jared? In my opinion, Jared made it what it is. The girl refused to accept it. We can only talk about that for so long. Right. But with Brandon and Kiki, there's actually layers and nuances of shit that needs to be discussed. But essentially, Kiki doesn't take responsibility for any of what she did while on television. What pissed me off, they didn't even discuss Dr. Ali letting her know that she does have an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. She has unresolved grief, trauma, and emotions that are impacting her. Like, It's crazy that nobody went over that. It's crazy that there was no therapist at the reunion to talk with people about certain stuff, because certain topics I felt like a professional needed to be there. It's crazy. Brandon's moved on. There's not much we could really say about them. I mean, if anybody who's watching, who's here now, or anybody who's watching our live replay when we're no longer live, like feels differently, please let me know. But it's very clear that Kiki had some type of a concerning relationship with alcohol. Not saying the girl is an alcoholic. No, not even saying she's a full binge drinker. But I do work in mental health. I'm also a counseling student in clinical science. And it looks like she has an unhealthy relationship with alcohol, which is different from being an alcoholic or a full-blown addict. Like, there is a difference. And I think she can resolve it. I don't think she's too far gone, but I felt like that was a big problem. But I also feel like with Brandon, this is why you have to date women for more than just your fetish or whatever gets your little tillywhacker excited. Because you should support your partner that you've been talking to for 4 years if you think that they're having some type of an alcohol problem without attacking them. You know, so I felt like Brandon and Kiki both did some things that were shady. Kiki was obviously, in my opinion, in the words of Jared, Kiki's bomb was bigger. But I just felt like she lacked a lot of kindness and empathy when telling him certain things. And I hope that Kiki works on herself before dating anybody. That's all I'll say, because I don't have nothing else nice to say. James?
I don't have nothing nice to say either. I agree with your sentiments. We can move on.
Yeah. Sorry, Kiki. We move on to Charlie and Jared. Now, I wasn't moved by Charlie and Jared. I was tired of them when it came out. On the episode with his sister, I was done with these two after then. And I mean, I've been done prior to that, but I was really done after that. Jared says that he is not interested in a relationship with Charlie. He's made that very clear, but he does say that the sex with Charlie was off the chain and checked every box, and that he'd like to continue a friendship with her just for the sex. Last person I tried to have a friendship with just the sex, I married him. So in my opinion, it doesn't always work. You're either going to end up like me, married, or you're going to end up not married, alone, and wasting time with a person that was never actually committed. It doesn't always work out. He's like, he was so blunt though, which was crazy. And Charlie's talking to him and she's trying to have her argument. She's like, yeah, but you led me on and make me believe this. He's admitted it. He said sorry. What the fuck else is he going to do? He's made it very clear he don't want shit from you other than sex because you got too many kids. He is entitled to feel that way. It may be shady. And that's the thing I had to realize watching this. Like, Jared is slimy. The way he moves is wrong. He should not have done Charlie that way. And y'all know I'm not the biggest Charlie supporter. I'm not going to disrespect her as a woman, but it is foul to be a mother and to ever feel under any circumstance you have to hide your kids. Unless there's somebody breaking into your house and you're hiding your kids somewhere quiet, or you hiding them to protect them from something violent, why are you hiding their existence from men? Why is having a man so important that you have to hide the fact that you went through labor, not one, not two, but 4 times? I'll be damned. I'll be damned. So I look at Charlie like, okay, you were wrong to do that. But then another piece of me is like, that's an insecure woman. That's a woman whose mother needed to teach her some things that she wasn't able to receive. That's a woman who probably doesn't love herself. But I'm just annoyed with it all, because even in this reunion, she's like trying to get some type of explanation. And it's like, you're not going to get what you're looking for, Charlie. Let any form of hope go. He wants nothing from you but the holes that you provide. That's it. He doesn't want anything from you. And you would have known this sooner if you told him the truth sooner. So suck it up and move on and keep talking to our good burger twin, Brandon, over there. The hell else is, what are we supposed to do, James?
I don't know, but I'm not the biggest Charlie fan either. I don't care for her at all because I feel like she's very pathetic. And in this reunion, that just proved it even more. I just feel like, to me, he told you exactly what it was. He told you exactly what you feel to him, and you're still trying to make it different. And that's where we have the problem with you, ma'am, is that it's not different. What he's saying is what he means. I don't know why you need more context with that. Even Sharonda or LaRonda, whatever her name is, was trying to make it blunt to you. Like, he's saying what it is, and you're still trying to process it differently. And a lot of women do this. It's not just Charlie. A lot of women do this when a man is this blunt. They always think that what a man says has some underlying meaning to something else, and it does not. My opinion on Jared is that I don't think he likes women. I'm not saying he's gay or anything, even though I question some of his antics, but I don't think he likes women. I really don't. I think that y'all are just fuckholes for him. I'm sorry to be so blunt, but that's really what I think that women are for him. And there's nothing wrong with that to the extent if a woman accepts that. But the problem that I have with Jared in this circumstance is that for 4 years, you could have told this lady exactly what you told her on that stage and in this show. A part of me feels like you wanted to be on TV, which is why you never let that fully go. And instead of you being honest about that part of it, which I'm sure Charlie wouldn't have had a problem with it because she was going to go wherever the wind blow anyway. But I just felt like you needed to be more honest. You wanted to be on TV. And the reason why I feel like he wanted to be on TV is because that conversation he had with the other men talking about, when this shit don't work with Charlie, I know my DMs is going to be hot. I know women gonna see this and be like, hey, he fine, let me slide in there. And he's absolutely right. Women are going to overlook everything that Jared has done on this show and slide right in them DMs, because it's always a dumbass somebody that's going to slide in there and say, hey, I want to give it a shot. I want to see what it's hitting for. I don't begrudge it. He's handsome. I don't begrudge it. At the end of the day, y'all don't act like this man didn't mean what he said and said what he meant. It's exactly what it is. So for
and
her,
don't be thinking that just because y'all got no kids and she had 4 that you got a shot. He just don't like us.
He don't like y'all. I'm trying to tell y'all, it's nothing personal. I don't know what happened to him in his life. I don't know who did it, but that behavior right there lets me know he does not like women, does not respect women, and does not probably want to be with a woman. He said he got tired of being a good husband. What the fuck did you get married for? So I'm just saying, like, to me, he says it very clearly and very direct. I don't understand what you women are trying to make different from this. That's why I said, Jared, honestly, if you watching this, try men. You will be so much better being with a man, because men think like this.
He probably is trying men, and that's probably why.
I don't know. I don't. Here's the thing. I don't. Even though I think sexuality is scientific, I don't think it's psychological. I feel like, for me, I think for him being from South Carolina, it gives me that he was raised in a misogyny that would never be okay. So what better way to do it than to be angry at women, even if that was his truth? Like, let's say it like that. Even if that was his truth, where he probably is hiding who he really is, he grew up in a state where that was frowned upon. The South, all of the South frowns upon that. So he can't be who he is. I heard it as a kid myself, being from California, being from Oakland.
I think that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
like,
I heard it from being in Oakland.
So community, like, being a part of the LGBTQ community is still taboo in a lot of ways. But a lot of people, sexuality and all of that, for some people, it's something that comes about psychologically. For a lot of people, it's something that more so comes from that they've were born with, and it's just something that they were going to feel that they were born with. But with Jared, we'll never know. I will say this. I think it's an example to the men who, let's say, are fully heterosexual. Sometimes bragging, being proud to be fucking hella different women and bitches and stuff, it's not always going to make you look like a player. In today's time, as people are more aware of things, it may cause them to look at you and wonder if you really like what you claim to like, which is fair, because separate from sexuality, to treat a person the way that Jared was willing to treat Charlie is a huge concern. That's a huge concern, separate from what he likes, who he dates, or any of that.
Like
realistically, if he's a real man, if you're not interested in a bitch, stop talking to her. Stop fucking her.
Stop leading her with false pretenses. Like, that's all you did the entire season, is lead her with false pretenses. And it's because she's so insecure with herself, she fell for it every time. One, you're attractive. She can't fight that. And two, you know that I can easily get into that. And that's why I said men who play games like that, it's one of two things. You either don't like your mama or you really don't like women. It's one of the two, because
it's
nobody.
One of those things too with Charlie where it's like, Jared, this is just a waste of time. But Charlie, I do wonder if she was more confident, like if it's really just the insecurity, like we don't know, because she also led him on with false pretenses basically in the same way. It's just we got to watch her be played on television, but the reality is she was playing him the whole time they've been together. And it sounds like he was playing her, but hers are all false as well.
Yeah, but her false pretense is rooted in an insecurity.
It doesn't matter the root.
It does. No, it does matter. No, that does matter, because even if her false pretenses, let me say this,
it doesn't matter. You don't lie about your kids.
That's why I said that's an insecurity. Because here's the thing. Her last child happened because she was insecure about him cheating and felt it. And so to get back at him, she did something to make herself feel good. And then it ended up resulting in her getting pregnant. That's why I'm saying her false pretenses
to be accountable, because she could have been false and pretense and went and cheated, and she could have wrapped it up, purchased a Plan B. She could have done a lot of things, but she chose not to. So I just want to make that clear. Just because you're insecure doesn't make something okay, but also just because insecurity causes you to do something won't excuse it. To me, Charlie got what she deserved, and Jared got what he deserved.
No, I agree. I agree with that part. They both got what they deserve. But at the same time, I can't say that a confident woman would go out there and have random ass sex with a man, get pregnant by him, and then go back to her other old man and saying, "Oh, I don't have any children. I just got this one baby."
You can be confident as hell and stupid as a woman. Like, I get that men should also be responsible, but as women, we are the ones that bleed every 28 days. We are the ones that have to hold that pregnancy for 9 fucking months, have to heal, go through postpartum. And she was already a mom. So I'm like, girl, I will never get over Charlie cheating and not deciding to wrap it up, take a pill, figure it out. I sometimes feel like Charlie and Jared might have known about some of the secrets they were keeping from each other on the show, but may not have told us or may not have properly discussed it. But I don't want OWN to bring anybody back onto the next season of Never Ever Much who are like these people. This is a terrible example of Black people. This is a terrible example of relationships. This was just terrible, because the moment that those secrets came out, I feel like they should have left the show or been replaced with other couples. Like, this whole process was rushed. They did a little better, but I want to see them do even more damage.
No, I wanted production the moment he said fuck no on that thing to eliminate them then. That's when I wanted, because what was that, third episode?
That makes sense, because that means, why are you here? You're wasting
Why are you wasting our time with this? And as I said, he was just somebody that played the game to be on TV. Do I begrudge that? No. But at the same time, let Charlie in on the secret. Hey, I only want to be on TV. So let's fake the funk. And if you really ain't with it, then it is what it is. But see, he manipulated the game so that he was for sure going to stay through the end. Because that was the end goal. The end goal, I don't feel like, was ever Charlie. I really don't. I feel like had it not been the baby, it would have been something else. So I do feel like his end goal was to be on TV. And he succeeded, because he came out looking like the utter complete narcissist that he looked like. And to me, I feel like he really doesn't give a fuck about looking like that at all. I think that that's just something that he
doesn't care. He's more concerned, like he said, about the women that are going to want to date him just because he's on TV. There's a lot of smart women out there, but there's also a lot of women out there who are smart and choose to ignore their intelligence because they think that a nigga's cute or they think that they can come up in some way. Jared, if you want to come up more, maybe next time go to Bravo, VH1, TLC.
Yeah, do a different reality TV show because this wasn't a good look for you. You needed to be on something else. You needed to do something else.
Go somewhere that accepts the ignorance. CBiz TV Media said, I heard they got paid per episode. I wonder if there was a bonus to stay till the end. There probably was.
There probably was. Yeah, there probably was. But that doesn't make it right even still. I don't even think he really cared about the pay. I just think he just wanted to be seen. And that's the problem. I think to me, when I think of South Carolina, I know the pickings are slim, kind of like in Phoenix. It's very slim here. So I feel like, to me, this was a way to expose him to a different world outside of that, to where he can go to places like Atlanta and get recognized and then girls will follow. Or he can go to LA being on this show and seeing girls will follow. I think that he's tired of his surroundings. And I think that this was a way to get one foot in front of the other. I really do. I think this is what this was.
Well, let me tell him this. His hairline was toe up and his braids, they had to add hair just to get the fucking straight back to go. So it is what it is. Somebody stupid will want Jared, but what can we do?
No, what's going to end up happening is he's going to meet his match. Either you going to meet your match or you going to go to something completely different. I'm telling you.
I'll get you a girl from Oakland, Jared. Let me get all the passport like just to fuck his world up.
Yeah, you think you got it. They're going to get your ass, trust me. They're going to turn that shit around.
I'm telling you, Jared's the type of man, where for those who don't know, I'm a Gemini. Prior to being married, let me say, I know how to deal with a nigga like Jared. Come over here, boo. I'll have him crying and running to church looking for a good woman. Don't do that, Jared. Jared hasn't met his match. Some men are like him. They just have not met their match. Yes. And that's probably why he talks to women like Charlie, because he knows if he talks to any other type of woman, she'd have
that's why I'm saying she gonna let him have it. She's gonna play him first, but she gonna let him have it. Trust me. She gonna get out the situation, but she gonna get his ass. Trust me. I just think, for me, just my personal opinion, and I'm not saying this like, please don't, y'all, when I say this, I'm not saying this to like be offensive. I'm saying this because I feel like some people are better with certain people. I feel like Jared needs to try men. And I feel like trying men will give him what he wants. Somebody who don't care like he do. Somebody who just wants to be in it. And I'm telling you, the hoes all work the same. I'm just saying, it does. Y'all can act like it don't, but it does.
It's true. It's true. That's actually very true. Well, that was really it. You guys, and apologies for the echo. My house is empty right now. They are changing the floors in my apartment. So if anybody heard any banging or anything crazy, I'm sorry. But that was it for this season of the Never Ever Mets. I am going to be adding another show to cover this one. I will be going over King's Court, which is on television July 13th. We did cover Queen's Court. I'm not sure if it's coming back since King's Court is here. We'll also continue to cover the Housewives of Miami. The Valley is almost over as well. So I'm just going to cover my shows as they come. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe to James's channel. We do several shows there as well. And I appreciate everybody who watched our recaps. To any of the people on the show, if you watch it, hey, you're on TV, we gave an opinion. We don't know that these people are good or bad people in real life. We just know that their dating choices are questionable. So let's be respectful of the people who go on the shows when commenting things. But other than that, I appreciate y'all. We're going to head over to James's channel for Somebody's Son, and I'll see everybody for the next recap. Adios.